All right. Very good morning. Very good evening, everyone. Welcome to these RAC demo sessions. Hope I have unmuted everyone. Um, right. So I want these two demo sessions today and tomorrow. Want it to be reactive and interactive. And with the moment I announced this the demo sessions, I got a lot of personal one-to-one pings and a lot of questions, queries. I tried answering most of those questions one individually. So, this is the right time. Even if you're not able to ping me or you're not able to clarify your questions, queries, feel free to unmute yourself and you can post any questions, queries, or ask any questions. Either you can unmute yourself and ask the questions, or you can post it in the chat here. I'm happy to take those questions and clarify all your doubts. Right? Right. With that, what I'm gonna do, since today and tomorrow are going to be two demo sessions, which is publicly available and expected to join a few more folks. So I'll keep it simple today and tomorrow. I'll just go over a course curriculum, course content, and about your instructor and the course durations, timing, and some of the fundamental understanding of RAC concepts, RAC architecture, RAC networking, and RAC file system. And then post that, we will continue from the regular classes with the scratch from the ground rule. Right. So what are the topics I'm going to cover for today and tomorrow? I'll talk about introduction and I'll talk about the course curriculum and I'll talk about a course durations and the timings and fee structure and the Google Drive access and the WhatsApp group and the payment process and what are the prerequisites or what are the minimum requirement for this particular RAC course, who can join this one, and the Oracle certifications and a few fundamental concept about the RAC. So these are the 9 points I wanted to discuss in these 2 days, today and tomorrow. So I can quickly start with the introduction about your instructor. Again, in the meantime, while I'm explaining anything, if you have any questions, queries, feel free to unmute yourself and ask me any questions. And at the same time, if you're not able to unmute, you can post your questions in the chat here. I'll be looking into that chat window. I'll clarify all your questions.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Apurva Saha. Good morning, sir. So I was just thinking that is it possible to discuss a few thoughts of database administration also here, like like FRA recovery.
Right, we'll talk about that. Yeah, we'll
Okay,
talk about
thank you.
that. Let me complete these few points, important points, and then we'll
Of
talk
course.
about FRA and other ASM disk groups and other things. All right. Uh, Let me start with the introduction about your instructor. That is about me. So this entire course is delivered by me. There is no other third-party person or any third-party vendor coming here and delivering this course. So it's purely on me. I'll be conducting end-to-end. Coming to me, I'll be having overall 15 years of experience in IT. And in this entire 15 years, I worked on various Oracle products. Oracle is my primary key skills. And I worked most of the Oracle products, starting with Oracle Database, Oracle RAC, Oracle Data Guard, Oracle Golden Gate, Oracle OEM, and Oracle Engineering Systems, Exadata, Exalogic, Supercluster, ODA, Exa, JDLRA. And also I worked on other Oracle application products like EBS, OBI, PeopleSoft, right? So with that, why I'm passionate about Oracle, because I started my ground rule, I started my career as a junior Oracle DBA, and then I was fascinated, I was interested about Oracle product, and then I explored in this Oracle field, and then fortunately I got a lot of opportunities to you know, expand or enhance my skill sets on various Oracle product itself. So, and then I decided Oracle is my primary key skills, and then I pursued my entire career in this Oracle field. So, having said that, is that the only limitations that I restricted myself into Oracle field? No. Whenever there is opportunities, I expanded my key skill sets to the other database fields as well, and I got opportunity to work in other database products like IBM DB2, SAP, and people saw PostgreSQL, MongoDB, and MySQL. So those are my other secondary database key skills. And with that, so I most often, used to get message or my junior DB or within my friend circle, people used to ask, is it mandatory to learn a cloud technologies? Is there any impact on the DBA role because of these cloud technologies? And as a DBA, what are the certifications we need to complete? Those are the regular questions, you know, in my friend circle, within my seniors, within my juniors, on all my students, or within my circle, they used to ask or they used to discuss a lot about this. What are the Oracle certifications? Is that going to benefit? How it's going to benefit? And what is the cloud technologies? And is the cloud technologies good to learn? And is the cloud technologies are impacting DBA jobs? And nowadays, like agentic AI, Gen AI, AI agents, are those impacting DBA role? There are a lot of things to cover. We'll take up those topics, very, very important topics, how they're impacting our DBA role, and what is the advantages of learning those technologies. And other most important questions what we get, how about DevOps? Is it a good time to learn DevOps? Is the DevOps is going to help us for the DBA roles? How it's going to help us? And the other topics on other common topics what I get in my WhatsApp or in my WhatsApp group. I have a career gap of 1 year, 2 year. Is it good time to me to come to Oracle field? I have 3 years of gap after my college. I have not got any job. How can I enter into DBA role? I'm from non-IT background. I'm working on some other domains. I want to enter into DBA domain. How can I do? So I have 5 to 6 years of career gap. Can I take a fake experience and I can come into IT? So those are like very, very critical and important questions. We will discuss maybe a little bit later. But coming back to your instructor, that's about me. So I worked on various Oracle products and entire 15 years dedicated to Oracle field itself, and got opportunity to expand most of the Oracle products, and I worked on this Oracle domain itself. And again, other key skills are various other database also I learned and worked, and also I learned DevOps, and also I learned Oracle Cloud and other technologies. Like in DevOps, I worked on like shell scripting, Python scripting, cookbooks, Chef, and Terraform and Ansible. Those are other small areas where I learned, and then I made use of within my Oracle day-to-day activities. So whatever my day-to-day activities with these my DevOps skills, I made them automation and then helped for my day-to-day activities. And then the other technologies like Oracle Cloud is my other key skills where I learned Oracle Cloud and then I got some opportunities to work on that. I did some of the database migration from on-premise to cloud. So that is all depends upon how much you are fascinated and how much you are interested and how much you are willing to invest your time. And based upon that, you can grab any new opportunities coming to you and then move forward. And then in my entire 15 years of career, the major product or major activities what I performed was one of the data center build from the scratch for finance, one of the finance sector where we did complete data center build from the scratch. And the other major product what we build, what I handled in my 15 years of career is a data center migration for one of the insurance company. So one of the insurance company what we did a data center migration from Um, we migrated to New Jersey uh, from Washington DC. I don't remember. It's a very long back. So within the same US region, we migrated from New Jersey to Washington DC. So that was one of the those two are the major projects what I worked. And then apart from that, whatever the many DBAs feel that the critical activities like rack build, rack setup, data guard setup, OEM setup, those are all and upgradation and migration. Those all DBAs will think major activities. Of course, those are major activities, but for me, uh, it was like not that major activities because when I was working with Oracle support, I did hundreds or thousands of database upgradation, migration, patching, Exadata patching, Exadata build. So all those are like our day-to-day activities. So that's in-depth, exposure what I got it in this 15 years of career. Right, so that's a quick intro. I hope most of you guys know about me. You are following me on my LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Hope you are already aware of me, but I wanted to give you a quick intro about in this forum here. Right, so the point to be remembered here, this entire RAC course is delivered by me. There's no other third-party person. So I want everyone to learn and everyone to expose more or enhance their key skills in this RAC and database field and then get new opportunities. That's why, I wanted to cover this entire course by me itself, not the other third party person. All right. So that's a quick update. And then very important point is to understand the course curriculum. So without knowing the course curriculum, course content, and joining this course is meaningless. So you should understand what are the topics, what this course particularly contains. Is that all the topics are going to be helpful for me, my current day-to-day work? Or current project, whatever I'm working, or all those topics are covered here. And if any of the topics are missing, you can feel free to ping here and post it here. Right, I can quickly open this course curriculum. Let's open it here. Right. So if you take a look here and you can just compare this course curriculum with any Oracle University course, what they're offering for the RAC or any other, other institute in the market who are offering this RAC course. Just download those course curriculum and download what I'm referring here. There'll be a lot of difference. Why there's a lot of difference? Because I'm not following any, standard what they defined is the RAC course by the other vendor or Oracle University. This entire RAC course is formed based upon my experience as a DBA, as a RAC admin, RAC expert. What are the day-to-day activities? What are the challenges? What are the, you know, major activities you are supposed to be performed, supposed to be delivered to the any client. So based upon my 15 years of experience, I formed this particular course curriculum and course content, and I'm delivering this course from last 5 to 6 years. And then as and when there is a need of adding a new topics, adding, removing some of the old topics, I'll be evolving this course over a period of this 5 to 6 years. So this course is based upon my experience and my 15 years of experience, what is needed as a RAC expert. I'm supposed to work on any client. So I formed this particular course curriculum. If you just compare with any other vendor or any other course structure, you will see a lot of differences. So I'll just brief it about the course curriculum. If you are not gone through this course curriculum, feel free to navigate to this link here. I'm going to ping in the chat also and then take a look on this course content here. So we'll start with the introduction about the basic understanding of Oracle standalone versus Oracle RAC and Oracle RAC concepts and the architecture and the clusterware networking. And then we'll go in depth understanding of the RAC services, processes, and internal resources, OLR, routing disk, cluster startup sequence, and other architecture part here. So once we understood about the fundamentals, the basic architecture about RAC as a standalone, we'll start with the Linux. So we'll configure, install Linux server, and we set up the network. So there will be a lot of networking in the rack. So there will be a public IP, private IP, scan IP, VIP, and the shared disk, and you know the node-to-node communication and node eviction, and also there's a disk heartbeat, network heartbeat. Again, that will be in-depth concept of rack internal, but all those are depend upon the network fundamental understanding. So we'll go over this DNS, public IP, private IP, and the scan IP, and why we need these many IPs in rack. So we'll understand those basic concepts, and then we'll start with the installation. We'll install the grid clusterware, and we'll install the Oracle rack home, and we'll create the ASM shared disks, and we'll create the Oracle rack database, and then we'll understand the ASM architecture, ASM disk groups, ASM disk group administration, mirroring, striping. Again, in mirroring, there are a lot of redundancies, external, normal, high, and then inside the disk, how the data is rebalanced, and then inside the disk group, where I can keep my data files and control files, redo log files. And just now somebody asked the FRA. How can I define my FRA inside my ASM disk group? So how can I handle my FRA disk group utilization? What happens if my FRA is full? So we'll explore more on this ASM architecture, ASM fundamental understanding, ASM disk group level operations, creation of your ASM disk group, modifying of your ASM disk group, adding a new disk, dropping a bad disk, poor performance disk. How can I drop that disk from ASM disk group? And then finally, how can I drop my ASM disk group itself? So all those operations, we'll talk about this in ASM chapter here. And then we'll start with the clusterware administration. How can I manage, maintain my clusterware? How can I manage and maintain my database, rack database? And how can I bounce my rack database? How can I bounce my clusterware? As part of maintenance, like OS patching or networking downtime, how can I bring down my clusterware? What is my cluster startup sequence? Which resources are started? What are the dependencies on that? And then SRVCTL, CRSCTL, and there are a lot of cluster tools. All will be explored in this clusterware and database administration. And then again, we'll go in depth on the rack internals. Rack internals includes your all the scan, how the scan works, how the load balancing works. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, sorry for that, guys. So we will go more internal to the rack services. That will be your OLR, OCR, routing disk, and how you can manage this OLR, OCR routing disk. In case of corruption of this OLR, OCR routing disk, how you can restore them, how you can take a backup of them, and then how you can read the content of those, and then how they are impacted my rack functionality, how my cluster will depend upon this cluster resource. And along with that, we'll go with the scan, how my scan will work, how the load balancing will work, and then is my rack gonna support my DML, DDL, select query failures, how this failure is gonna work in my rack, and then what are these scan IPs, VIPs, public IPs, why we need these many IPs. We'll go internal of my rack cluster and understand all of them. Again, we'll come back and we'll understand more about rack database, how these file systems are structured in case of rack. My system, sysocs, undo, user, temp, all those file systems, how they are structured, which of them are shared, which of them are non-shared, how my password file will work, how my redo logs will work, how my archive logs will work, and then how where I can keep this control file, redo log files, archive log files, where I can keep this password file, where I can keep my SP file, P file, whether I can keep it locally on my host side or on my ASM side. And if I keep it on ASM disk group side, are this shared between both instances or I can individually keep them? And then can I keep my SP file and P file inside ASM disk group? Or only SP file I can keep it inside my ASM disk group and P file I can keep it locally. So all those are fundamental ground rule for your RAC database and RAC database administration understanding. We'll go over and see all those fundamental concept here. And many of us will struggle how to copy the data file from file system to disk group, from the disk group to file system, how to move your password file from the file system to disk group to file system. So those are the fundamental things we'll explore here specific to RAC database and playing around this disk group versus my local file system. And then we'll start with this chapter number 14 here is all about backup, restore, recoveries, my level 0, L0 backup, my level 1, incremental backup, incremental cumulative, incremental differential backup. How can I take control file backup, SP file backup, arclog file backup, data file backup, and then how can I develop my own level 0, level 1 script? How can I schedule them cron tab? And with the help of those backups, how can I do point in time restore? How can I build my lower environment like DevDB, TestDB, and UATDB with those production backups? And then how can I understand between the backup set, image copies, and again in the backup set, if you go with, there will be a lot of concept backup piece versus backup set, and backup set versus image copies. And then how can I understand my RMAN active database duplicate? How can I understand about my RMAN duplicate? How can I understand about restore and recover? How can I restore only control file? How can restore only data files? How can I restore only SP file? How can I restore a particular data file which is corrupted? And if there's any block corruption, how can I restore that particular or specific block? And how can I validate whether my backups are useful? Is there any issue or is there any corruption inside my backups? So are those backups and archivlogs are more than enough to build my development database to perform the point in time? So we'll talk more in-depth understanding about only the backups and restores and recoveries, and that too only specific to RAC database. Nothing about standalone here. And then the listeners, very very confusing for many of the DBS. So the moment I say listener, it's not just like our standalone one single listener. In RAC, you will get a database listener, a local listener, scan listener, and the remote listener, ASM listener, ASM net listener. Why these many? 5 to 6 listeners. What are the use case? How they are all internally correlated? If the client want to connect to my database, which listener is going to come into picture? Is it a local listener, remote listener, scan listener, grid listener, ASM net listener? How the flow will work? How this load balance will work with help of this scan, with help of these listeners? There are multiple listeners. We'll talk and explore more on the listener and the from the end user connection to till that database query, how that flow will be works. So we'll go and then see all those. And then in case of any node failure or any instance goes down, how the failure will happens. Once the failure will happens, how that listener is going to behave, which listener is going to take that connection and then help us for doing this failure. So we'll explore more on this one, listener here. And then chapter number 16 is about multi-tenant architecture, CDBs and PDBs. So that is future. Oracle from 21C onwards, it's all about CDBs and PDBs. Even if it's a standalone or rack with ASM, or rack without ASM. So it's all about multi-tenant architecture starting with the 21C onwards. There's no normal database concept. So where we'll understand in depth about the CDB cloning, PDB cloning, and then end-to-end understanding of CDB and PDB architecture and how the local user, the common user, local role, common role, how the end user is going to connect to CDB, how the end user is going to connect to PDB, how the listeners and TNS is going to behave in order to connect to CDBs and PDBs, how the failure is going to work in case of CDBs, how the failure is going to work in case of PDBs, how can I clone my PDBs from the rack to rack, and all those will be explored here in case of CDBs and PDBs. Again, that too specific to rack only, nothing about standalone here. The ACFS is other fundamental understanding. We'll talk about ACFS configuration, ACFS administration, and managing your ACFS. And once you create your ACFS file system, how can you increase the file system? And then how can you add that ACFS file system? ACFS stands for ASM cluster file system. How can you add that as your cluster resource? So one of the very important and interesting topic. So most of us will not aware of ACFS and ACFS use cases. We'll go more on this ACFS understanding. And the RAC one node versus RAC database. Again, these are the different type of databases in RAC. How can you convert from a file system standalone database to RAC? And if it's a one node RAC, how can you convert it to RAC? If it's a RAC, how can you convert it to standalone? So multiple options around that. We'll talk about that. RAC versus RAC one node. How can you migrate from file system or standalone to RAC? And the chapter number 19 is about patching, your grid patching, your database patching, your Oracle home patching. And again, in patching, you have rolling patching, non-rolling patching, hybrid patching, OPatch versus OPatch Auto. And how can I minimize the downtime for patching? There's out of place patching, which will help us to minimize the downtime. And then in this patching, how can I apply the patch? How can I roll back the patch? And what is my PSUs, CPUs, and one-off patch, merge patch, interim patch, hot patch, online patch? There will be hundreds of naming convention for the patching. So we'll understand end to end about the patching. And then OPatch versus OPatch Auto is one important concept and most commonly asked interview questions. We'll explore more on that. Again, it's all respect to your RAC database, nothing on standalone here. And then coming to chapter number 20 is about upgradation and migration. So again, this is only talks about upgradation. We will not cover anything related to migration because migration is altogether the different course or different concept. So in order to do migration, you should have your the Linux to Windows or Windows to Linux or Linux to AX or AX to Linux. Migration again between on-premise to cloud. Those separate course itself. So what we're talking here in the chapter number 20 is upgradation. How can you upgrade your RAC database from 11G to 19C? From 12C to 19C or from 18C to 19C or from the lower version 9i 10G to 19C. What are the steps? What are the pre-checks? What are the post-checks? Once you do migration, how can we monitor the performance and how can you set up all your listeners, all your scan after the database upgradation? And what are the various post-checks and pre-checks to make sure that your upgradation is successful? In case of upgradation fails, how you can roll back, how you can you flash back your database to that restore point or the guarantee restore point what you created. Right. So those will be explored in this chapter number 20. And chapter number 21, node addition and node removal. So there will be a lot of node addition and node removal itself is one of the major activities. Right now you are having a two node rack. You are going to add two more node. You may want to make four node rack. And right now you made four node rack and you want to remove one of the node. You want to make it as a three node rack. How you can add a node, how you can remove node from your cluster. Right, so there are a lot of things to cover on that. We'll say various options, silent mode, GUI mode, all will be covered here. And again, this is a converting your standalone database to rack, various option DBCA or OEM or your rconfig or your rman backup and restore. Many options. You can explore more on this. Right, so that is about your entire course curriculum, this chapter number 22. So remaining three chapters are not particular to this course content. It is all about preparing your resume and cover letter. What I'm going to do, I'll go over my own resume and cover letter, and then I'll gonna give you some of the important sections or the points or the tips how you can make your resumes powerful. So you might be already having your own resume and content, but few of the certain key skills or key things what you need to specify in the resume. I'll just go over my own resume and then you can tune your resume according to by adding those missing sections. And the interview questions and answers, of course, all topic, whatever I'm discussing will be giving you all the possible interview questions and answers. And at the end of the session also, there'll be a dedicated Google document where there are already a lot of interview questions and answers are uploaded, and you'll be just going and reviewing those all the questions and answers. Once you're able to answer all those questions, which is already predefined in our Google Drive, you should be able to crack any of the interview. So that's a overall interview questions and answers what we'll go over end of this course. And finally, the mock interview. So again, this is not a mandatory thing. It is subjected to your own interest. So you can go ahead and then register for this mock interview. So I'll be connecting with you one to one. I'll be taking a kind of a mock drill interview so that I can measure how much you prepared and how could you have made better. So that is again not a must thing. It is all about your interest. If you're interested before you attend any live interview for any client, go ahead and then register for this mock interview. I'll connect with you and then I will assist you whether you have fully prepared or anything is lagging with you. And then I can provide you that how could you have made better and what are the missing section. All right, yeah. So that is a quick overview about the course curriculum. And then over a period of time, last few weeks, I got uh, some questions like, are you gonna cover OEM? Are you gonna cover TDE or wallet? Are you gonna cover rack performance tuning? So again, these are not the 1 day or 1 hour, 2 hours. I can complete it. So these are a separate course itself. OEM itself is a separate course. Your TDE wallet, that itself is a separate course. But what I can do, and your rack performance tuning itself is a separate course. What I can do, what I can guarantee, I can take 1 or 2 session, or maybe 1 hour or 2 hours of session on this wallet TDE. Already I have covered in our last class or the last to last batch. How can you convert your TDE, transparent data encryption for table level and the table space level? How can you set up your wallet? I can take 1 or 2 sessions of 1 hour or 2 hour. I can cover this one. Or already I have covered it in my previous batch, and then I can share that recording, you can watch that. And then other questions what I got yesterday, one of the guy asked rack to rack data guard, right? So it is a part of this course. I'll be showing a demo on rack to rack data guard build. So I'll be taking this maybe at the end of this course. I'll be taking this the rack to rack data guard build or TDR wallet, how you can configure. Or already there are pre-recorded sessions. I previous batch I already delivered this one. I can take it. Again, there are so many other questions. I got it. Can you cover OCI in this course? No, OCI itself is again your separate course. I'll not be covering anything on the OCI. And can you cover about migration? No. Migration, as I mentioned, migration itself is a separate course. It is not just within 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours I can complete and I can show demo. No. If you want, I can share you some documentation where you can go and then refer and make yourself comfortable. And it's not that like within 1 hour, 2 hour, I can give you a demo and understand and make you to understand everything. And other questions what I got from last few days, Golden Gate. Can you cover some Golden Gate configuration and all? No, Golden Gate setup itself will take 1 or 2 days. Or the once you do a setup configuration and setting up of replication, that itself will take around 5 to 6 hours. So these are like not this that straightforward. I can explain and you understand and then you can configure it. No, the configuration itself is 1 or 2 days activities. So those are the things where we'll not be able to cover, but few of the things like TD, wallet, a data guard, so fundamental concept where I can deliver it and show it as a demo or already they are predefined or last to last sessions we have taken some extra topics. All those are recordings available. You can take a look or watch them. That all makes sense. Right. So yeah, with that, If any of the topic, if you feel it is not included or added in this course, you can always feel free to ping me or drop me an email. I'll take a look on that one, and then I'll be adding into this particular course if it is really needed or necessary. All right. So with that, I'll take a pause here. If anyone has any questions, queries, you can always unmute yourself and ask here, or use the chat window here. You can post your questions. So far, so good. Any questions, guys? Are all
Hello,
good?
Monty. Am I audible?
Yep.
I actually joined back in this batch before, so can I get the access or I have to register again?
Right, right. You can ping me. I'll grant the access. Yeah, ping me in
Okay, in
my
the
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, one question I had, please.
Yeah.
You said OPatch. OPatch is the Oracle automatic patch. So there are many versions you are saying, like OPatch AU and another one. Can you just say that one more time?
There are a lot of things. OPatch is a tool. OPatch or OPatch Auto. These are the tool provided by
Okay,
Oracle.
yes.
Using
Okay.
OPatch or OPatch Auto, you can apply all the Oracle patches. Oracle will provide you many patches. One-off patch, merge patch, interim patch, online patch, hard patch, CPU patch, PSU patch, and bundle patch. There are a lot of patches will be provided by Oracle. To apply those all those patches, you need a tool. The tool is called OPatch or OPatch Auto. OPatch is a manual way of patching. OPatch Auto is a automated way of patching.
Thank you.
All right. So there are few questions about the best laptop size, the disk, CPU, and the course duration. Those are the other topics we'll be covering in a minute. In the chat, I can see those questions. We'll be covering those. Sunil and Gaurav will cover those in a minute. All right. So let's move on now. If no questions, so we went with the point number one, point number two about course curriculum. Now important topic is course durations and timings. So there are links here. You can always navigate to that one. The upcoming batches. I'll just quickly open that and show. If you are not able to join this batch and you are looking for next month or next to next month, so you can always take a look. So this is the what we are starting this RAC batch, and already we started this database batch here. You can always take a look on this one upcoming batch schedule so that you can plan your schedule accordingly. And then if needed, you can go and then register for this one. I'll be sending the updates as and when the new batch will be getting started. I'll intimate you. Right. So those are about upcoming batch schedule and the future dates. But now let's come back to the course duration. What is the course duration, timing, and the fee structure? So this course is a 2 days in a week, a Thursday and Friday, and will be able to complete in 6 to 7 weeks. So this is a weekday batch, not the weekend. Most of the people maybe because last batch was conducted on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and this batch will be conducting on weekdays. So the course will be Thursday and Friday in IST hours. In EST in Eastern Time Zone, it will be Wednesday and Thursday, 12 or 11 hours lag. So in India timing, it will be 8:30 a.m. IST to 11:30 a.m. IST, 3 hours on Thursday and 3 hours on Friday. In EST, it will be Wednesday and Thursday, 11 p.m. EST to 2 a.m. EST. So 3 hours on each day. So I know in EST hours, I got many pings. It will be too late, late night. Will not be able to, spend up to 2 a.m. and attend live classes. Yeah, I know for the EST time, it will be too difficult and to manage or attend these live sessions. Uh, for that we have the recordings. We'll talk about that in a minute. For those folks who are from US and PS time zone, I know it's really hard, but yeah, we have the other alternative that the sessions are recorded and we're gonna watch that and will be part of the WhatsApp group. I'll talk about that in a minute, but yeah. That's true. For the US guys, it will be late night. Right, so only 2 days, Thursday, Friday, 3 hours on each day in India timing. For the US, it will be Wednesday and Thursday, and that will be late night hours. And duration will be 7 weeks or 6 to 7 weeks. We should be able to complete this entire course. And the fees is of 15K Indian rupees or 185 US dollar. Will be conducted online over a Zoom session, and then it will be covered with the 19C version. And again, there is nothing about 11G or 12C. Both are outdated and no more support from Oracle. And 19C is the one which is most commonly and most widely used version. Why 19C is most commonly and widely used version? This is the longest support. Oracle promised and told 19C they are going to support up to 2030. So many people are willing to stay on this 19C version. So after that, they released 21C, and which is again innovation release, no long support. After that, whatever they released, 23AI. 23AI is again longest support. They mentioned they promised that 23AI they're going to support up to 2032. So if at all 19C customer want to upgrade, they may upgrade it to 23AI. Again, 23AI is not yet released for the on-premises. So because of that factor, 19C is the one which is most commonly used and which is going to support up to 2030. And after 2030, Oracle may give extended support up to 2022, up to 2032 or 2033. So that's going to go for up to 3033 or 35, because after 2030 there may be extended support and other market driven support. So because of that factor, 19C is a widely used and most of the customers stay in this 19C version. All right, so that's about the course duration, course timing, and the fee structure. And then, as I mentioned, today and tomorrow are the two demo sessions. Our actual course is going to start by next week. So actual course will be starting from 17th July 2025 Thursday, and in IST time zone it will be 8:30 AM IST to 11:30 AM IST, and for the US time it will be 16th July 2025 Wednesday, and that will be 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. So next week is what we're going to start our regular classes. So now I think we got already a few students, and they're all part of this WhatsApp group. So WhatsApp group is nothing but we have a dedicated WhatsApp group for the each registered batch. All the students will be part of that WhatsApp group. Any questions, queries, or any help, or if you're stuck with any setup or you need any assistance, will be all communicating in this WhatsApp group. And if you're attending any interview and you are already working as a DBA and you need some assistance in your organization, you got some activities to perform and you need some assistance or help, you can always post those questions over there. Or you attended the recent interview, some of the challenging questions you're not able to answer, you can always post it in that WhatsApp group. So anyone can answer. If not, I'll be taking those all questions, queries, and I'll be monitoring all those WhatsApp communications. I'll be helping you and I'll be unblocking you if any help or assistance needed. I'll connect with all of you guys. Right. So that is the primary mode of communication. We'll use WhatsApp group, and that is for only dedicated to all the registered student. And all the registered student, we already got few registrations and they are already granted with this Google Drive, where in the Google Drive you'll be getting the link 1, link 2, link 3, link 4 link access. You'll be getting it. The link 1 will be includes all the course materials, PPT, lab exercise, workbook, and the ready VMs. All will be available in your link 1. I can quickly open that link 1 here. So this is the link 1 where you can see all the course materials and PPTs. All will be uploaded here. You can, as and when we continue with the course, you can see all these documents on these various folders will be made use. And the link 2 is all about the software. Is that okay? The link 2 is all about softwares, tools, interview questions, automation script. All will be uploaded over here. So link 2 will be, let's quickly get that link 2 and show here. I put it over here. Okay, this is the link to where you can see all the interview questions, automation script, and the other tools which are needed. All the softwares will be available on this link too. You'll be getting access on this link too. And the link 3 will be previous batch recording. Very interesting one. Why I'm giving this previous batch recording? So some people who are from the experienced background, they already know this RAC concept and they want to complete this course within a week. So they can simply go ahead and then watch all the previous batch recordings, and then they can complete this course within a week. And why I'm giving this previous batch recording? If you're entering into this RAC world newly, you can watch these recordings in advance before the live sessions, so that once you attend the live session, you can ask more questions, more queries. You can make that interactive. You can clarify all your doubts. Let's say if I quickly get that, like quickly I can show that one how your previous batch recordings I'll be uploading here. If I get it over here. So these are my previous batch recordings, last March what we completed. So whatever the recording, whatever the daily sessions I'll be conducting, those sessions will be recorded and then uploaded into Google Drive along with the notepad, whatever the command I'll be firing. So this is the recording here. So if I open this one of the recording, so whatever the demo I'll be showing here, this is your demo. Once you watch this demo recording, I think video is not yet updated. Let's go with the higher resolution. So once you start watching this recording, along with the recording, you'll be having this associated notepad. So whatever the command I'll be firing in my lab here, all those commands will be copied. All the output of my lab will be uploaded here. You can watch the recording. Parallelly, you can refer that notepad what I'm firing the commands in my lab. So these are the previous batch recording. All those entire course will be recorded here. You can watch in advance so that during the live session you can ask more questions and queries and make it interactive. And then finally, the a current batch. So right now, current batch recordings we don't have it. It's empty. So as and when daily sessions I'll complete, I'll be uploading all those recording into this current batch. So if I go to my current batch, it'll be empty folder as of now. This is the current batch. So daily sessions what I cover, I'll record it and I'll make sure that I'll upload it. So once I upload the recordings here, so as I mentioned here, for the folks from the US region, if they are not able to attend the live sessions, they can always refer those recordings. Either they can refer the previous batch recording or this current batch recordings, and you can watch them. And after watching that, if you are able to catch up the things, that's fair enough. If not, you can always ping in our WhatsApp group. So I'll connect with you and then I can clarify what is your questions and queries, or if you're not able to get that particular topic. Right? That's where importance of Google link and WhatsApp group, which is only for those registered students. All right. So any questions so far? So good. The timing, course structures, fees, course curriculum. I'll take a pause here for a minute if anyone has any questions so far.
Yeah, I actually registered previously with my different mobile number. Is it possible to add this when I'm using now a different phone number?
I'll do that
So,
one. Ping, yeah, I mentioned it. Ping me in my WhatsApp, or else call me after the session. I'll discuss with you.
okay.
Malik, I am already in the different Oracle DBA batch, so uh, I cannot continue with this batch. So can I join this batch later on?
Yeah, I can do that one. Always, as I mentioned here, right? You can always keep a track on this, the upcoming batch. So as
Okay.
per your schedule, and you can plan it accordingly.
So mostly after 2 months.
Yes.
Okay.
And do we need to complete the database course before
We'll
joining
talk
this
about
batch?
that. Yes, we'll talk about that in the prerequisites. I'm going to cover that in a minute. What is the prerequisites? What all knowledge you should have it before the RAC? All right. So let's move on now. The payment mode. Again, feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number or my cell number. So there are many ways to do a payment processing. Your UPI, Google Pay, Phone Pay, your Western Union, MoneyGram, and those are other options. So I'll guide you and process you through that payment processing. Feel free to ping me on my cell number or WhatsApp number or drop me a message. I can assist you for the payment processing. Once the payment is done, I'll be taking forward with the registration where I can add you to WhatsApp group. I'll grant the access on the Google Drive and I'll share the schedule or the class details and more details after the payment. All right. So I'm gonna ping here in the chat. If you don't have my cell number or WhatsApp number, I can ping in the chat here. You can take a look and you can respond back to me on my WhatsApp or the cell. All right. Moving on, very important, the prerequisites. Who can continue? What are the prerequisites? And how can I set up my lab? You should have a basic knowledge on Windows and Linux, must. If you don't know Linux, I'm not able to run any single command, ls, su, oracle, mkdir. I don't know anything on Linux. This course is not for you guys. So you should know the basics of Linux and the Windows, how to turn on your Windows, how to go to programs, how to start the program, how to install the software. So that's the must basic requirement. If you don't know that, and then you are not fit and you are not eligible for this RAC course. Right? And then you should know the basics of Linux and the SQLs. The Linux basic command, as I mentioned, cd, mkdir, su, oracle, ls, and cat. All those are must. So you should have the basic SQL command and basic Linux command. Select star from employee, select instance name from VDALR instance. All those database basics, database SQL, Linux SQL command, you should be aware of that. If you don't know that, again, RAC course is not for you guys. And basic knowledge of database, very, very must and important. You should be working as a DBA first. You know the database architecture, database foundation. Because in the RAC course, I'm not going to cover what is SGA, what is PGA, and what is data files, and what is reader files, what is control file. If you ask, the moment I say control files will be stored under ASM, and these are the multiplex control files, and in case of RAC, it will be shared between both instances, and you should be able to understand. And the moment I say this concept and you start asking what is control file, what it contains, then RAC course is not for you guys. So first you need to understand that fundamental knowledge on the database and fundamental architecture of database. You should be knowing it. Then only you can register for this RAC course. If you don't know, if you're not if you're not studied database architecture, database foundation, then don't register for this RAC course. You'll not be able to get anything in this RAC course. So first register and complete your database course, understand your fundamental understand architecture and database concepts. Once that is done, you can register for the RAC course. And then hardware requirement, very, very important. Somebody asked in the chat here, Gaurav, you asked, right? Laptop and size of RAM, hard disk, CPU. So this is what we need. We need minimum 20 GB RAM and minimum 150 GB SSD hard disk, because we'll be setting up a lab on your laptop or on your desktop using Oracle VirtualBox. So you should have this minimum RAM and your hard disk. Again, CPU doesn't matter, one CPU, two CPU, three CPU. So CPU is not a concern, but RAM and hard disk, you should meet this criteria so that you can set up your lab in your VirtualBox. So I got many pings from last few days. I have only 8 GB RAM. I have only 16 GB RAM. And I have only 12 GB RAM. No, minimum you have to have 20 GB RAM must. If you don't have this much of RAM, if you try to fluke or you try to do a setup of your rack with 8 GB, 16 GB, your laptop itself will crash, your VM itself will crash. If the moment you start installation, your installation will be stuck forever. It will never proceed further. Unnecessarily, you'll end up with crashing your laptop and VMs again and again. So don't try it or don't try to fluke it. The minimum you have to follow this requirement, then only you can able to set up. So there is some condition. If we have 16 GB RAM, you can install 11G. So I know the standard laptop configuration comes with the 8 GB or 16 GB or 32 GB. So many of folks will be having 16 GB RAM. So with the 16 GB RAM, you'll not be able to install 12C rack or 19C rack. 11G rack you can install because 11G rack is lightweight or the software is not that much of requirement as of 12C and 19C. So this one you can practice, but it's useless because 11G is out of support and practicing on 11G is not gonna, make you up to date. So don't do that one. But yeah, best practice is always go with the minimum 20 GB. So that leads us to best configuration is always try for getting a 32 GB RAM so that you can do a rack to rack setup, rack to rack production and DR setup. And even if you can configure your database versus rack, you can practice everything, entire database course and entire rack course. Everything can be configured and set up and you can practice it with a 32 GB RAM. With a 32 GB RAM, and around 250 GB SSD hard disk, around 2 to 4 CPU. This laptop you're able to get it. That will be like very good. The 32 GB RAM and then minimum 250 GB to 500 GB SSD and then 4 or you can go with the minimum 2 to 4 CPU. Again, so if you're able to offer more than that, more than this configuration, you can go for that. But if you're able to get minimum 32 GB RAM and 250 to 500 GB SSD and 2 to 4 CPU, the processor is always go with the latest processor, i9, i11, i10, and then dual core, core duo, and then your whatever the latest processor with the Intel, you can go with that, and then you can able to get this configuration. That's the best suits, and you can configure, you can learn any course. Your data guard, your rack or standalone, all setup you can do it and you can practice it. Again, other questions comes around that. Uh, this course is based on Linux. So I'll be having Linux and 19C Oracle. So I used to get, how about Windows? Can you show me a demo of rack setup on Windows? Can you show a demo on installation of Windows? No, I'm not going to cover anything related to Windows. This entire course is based upon 19C database version and Linux based. And then can you show like installation on Mac? So I have Mac. Can you do this setup? Whatever the rack setup will be doing it. Can you show one demo on Mac? Installation of rack on Mac. So no, this is based on Windows. So I'll be teaching this entire course and installation based upon Windows OS, not on the Mac. So again, Mac, even I never tried or never installed, I never used as well. So I'm familiar on Windows and I'll delivering only on Windows based. Right, so those are the other criteria restrictions and the hardware requirement and the what are the prerequisites. And then other prerequisites who can attend. Who can attend? So the simple answer is any DBA with a prior knowledge. So if you are a DBA, so if you are a DBA and then you know the knowledge of database, so you can attend. If you are having only 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, doesn't matter. If you are working, you know the fundamental of database architecture and all, you can go and then register for this course. And if you are a new, this entire course, once you're able to complete this entire course and repeatedly watching this previous batch recording and current batch recording, you should be able to get up end to end about this rack architecture, rack concepts. And if you are having already DB experience, 5 years, 10 years, you already worked on rack, still you can attend this course. You can brush up your knowledge and you can be up to date, because the course what I'm delivering here, it is start from the scratch and it'll go till advanced level. Your rack patching, your rack database upgradation, and your rack to non-rack, non-rack to rack, backup, restore, recovery. All those advanced concepts also will be covered. And as a experienced DBA, you already know the rack. Don't worry. Still, you can attend this course. You can brush up your knowledge and you can be up to date. Right. So that's prerequisites. Right. I'll take a pause here for a minute. So far, so good. If any questions around this.
Hello.
Yep.
So, I already done the RAC course. So
Right.
can I repeat it at?
Yeah, I can ping me. I just when somebody asked the same questions, right? I think Pranavesh. You can ping me in my WhatsApp. I'll
Okay.
assist
Okay.
you further on this.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any questions? So good. All right.
Yeah, I have actually 16 GB of RAM. So this is required 32 GB or 16 GB will be fine.
No, 16 GB you cannot. That's what I just explained,
Okay.
right? You cannot pick it up. All right. So now quickly cover few important points before we go into the technical discussion. Oracle certifications. So a DBA, like anyone has 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years of experience, you have to complete the DBA certificate. Within 1 to 4 years, you have to complete your DBA certificate, which is very, very mandatory certificate, which will give you added advantages and it will make your resume stronger if you complete this Oracle certificate. If you're having 1 to 4 years of experience, target for this DBA certificate. That's your 19C OCP certificate. So to complete this 19C OCP certificate, which will be having two exams, 19C Admin 1, 19C Admin 2, and this is the certification, the exam code 1Z0082, 1Z0083. These are the codes. These are the exam code, and that exam cost you around 20K Indian rupees. So you have to complete this DBA certificate must if you are having 1 to 4 years of experience. And anything above 4 years, you are having 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years. The RAC certification is must. The exam code is 1Z0078. Again, that exam cost you around approximately 20K INR. So after this completion of this RAC course, you should be able to complete this RAC certificate. Why I am insisting, why I am repeatedly telling all my students or within my friend circle, we have to complete this DBA course and the RAC course. You take any Oracle product. Let's say you take Oracle Exadata engineering system. You can take Oracle EBS. You can take Oracle OBI. You can take Oracle Golden Gate. You can take Oracle OEM, Oracle Enterprise Manager. You can take Oracle Supercluster. Whatever Oracle product, this is your advanced particular expertise expertise areas. You want to become Exadata DMA, database machine administrator. You want to become EBS app DBA. You want to become OBI app DBA. You want to become Golden Gate expert. You want to become OEM expert. Any of the Oracle product, whatever the Oracle product, all this Oracle product has to run on the standalone database or has to run on Oracle RAC. So this Oracle standalone database and Oracle RAC are the foundation. So you have to complete this DBA course, you have to complete this RAC course, and you have to get this minimum certificate. Once you get this minimum certificate, it's all based upon your interest. If you're interested, you want to pursue your further future or career in Exadata, you can go for the target for that. You want to switch from a DBA role to EBS app DBA, you can learn the app DBA. You want to expertise in Golden Gate, you can learn that Golden Gate and be a master in that. So you want to choose your specialization in Oracle product. Fundamental need is you have to understand end to end about your standalone Oracle database architecture and understanding, and you have to understand the RAC architecture and foundation, because all the Oracle products A standalone database or RAC is the foundation. That's where these certificates are very, very important.
Hello?
And yeah, go ahead. Somebody has a question?
Hi, Malik Rano here.
Yep.
Then after the course, then the RAC certificate where will become in that
You are,
link?
yeah, this is the Oracle University link. You have to go there, register for the course. That will be register for the exam. 20,000
Mm-hmm.
is the exam, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have to book your schedule, the appointment, and then you have to take a exam. And
Okay.
once you
Then
pass,
how many attempts they will give us, like first and second?
only one attempt. If you fail,
Only.
again you have to pay 20K and then register for the next attempt.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Again,
Got
there's a
it.
common questions. Validity of this certificate. This certificate are no expiry, lifetime validity. Oracle DBA certificate or RAC certificate, these are like lifetime valid certificates. All right. That's about the certificates. And now other two concept is cloud technologies.
So, hi Malik.
Yep.
Yeah, myself Sunil, and regarding the basic certification, you have mentioned two exams, right? So, is it the different exams, or we need to complete both for the
Yeah,
getting
for the
certificate?
19C OCP certificate, these are two separate exams. You have to give both exams.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is part of our DBA course. Once you complete our DBA course, as part of the DBA course, you should be able to crack this exams. All right. That is for your certificate, what we talked. And now let's say cloud technologies. So cloud is one of the, you know, hot topic in the market. And is it good time, or is it a best way to, or is it worth investing time and learning over there? So we have Oracle Cloud, we have AWS, we have Azure, we have GCP. And because of these cloud technologies, is there any impact on the DBA role? The other questions, what we get, is the cloud technologies making impact on the DBA role? So is the DBA role are getting, reduced because of these cloud technologies? So answer is no. You cannot scare off cloud is making an impact, or cloud, because of the cloud, the DBA roles are getting reduced or making an impact. No, cloud technologies, of course, it will be there for everywhere, not only for DBA's impact or not only for developers. Cloud technologies is everywhere. And because of these cloud technologies, there is no impact on the DBA role. What exactly cloud technologies are made? So whatever we used to spend, hours of time for the installation, with the help of cloud technologies, you just log into your cloud UI and then just single click, your database is ready. Those kind of a certain tasks are automated. Like, we used to spend days together, 1 day or 2 day to do a database setup, to do a rack setup. But in the case of cloud, just go to your cloud UI and then do a single click, your rack setup is ready. Your database instance is ready. So those kind of a small tasks are automated. And apart from that, your DBA roles or the DBA support will be forever. Once your database is running under cloud, or once your database is running under on-premises, DBAs are the one who can manage, maintain, and administrate that particular database. I want to check my user permission, roles, and privileges. I want to make sure that my RMAN backup is went fine status. I want to make sure that my database, execution plan, performance, everything is up to date. So these are like DBA is must. DBA has to manage the database, and end users is not able to connect to your database. DBA has to go and then check whether the listeners are working fine, whether the scan is working fine, whether the TNSs are all configured fine or not. So your DBA roles will be there forever, and DBAs will be must forever. And whether your database is running under on-premises or whether your database is running under cloud, doesn't matter. So DBA is needed forever. To maintain, manage, and administrate, DBAs are must. irrespective of your database is running under cloud or on premises. But as I mentioned, with the help of cloud, a certain tasks are automated. So where instead of spending hours of time and doing our installation configuration end to end, just one single click from the UI, everything is ready. And the same thing is AI or agentic AI or Gen AI. Technology is making impact on DBA role? Again, answer is no. So nowadays, this is a hot topic. AI, agentic AI or Gen AI technologies, are those making impact on role? No, there's no impact on the role. Again, it's not only DBA role, even for developers, even for many folks, they will be scared of because of this AI and agentic AI, Gen AI, they're going to making impact on their roles on in their technologies. No, answer is no. With the help of this AI, agentic AI, Gen AI, you can enhance your productivity. Let's say you want to merge two tables, you want to get the output, you have to sit down and write the SQL query. You have to think the logic, and to think and then write that query, it will take around 1 hour. Just you whatever need, you just ask in AI agent or agentic AI, Gen AI, or the chat GPT. Will immediately within few seconds it will give you that query. You can go ahead and then execute. So what you can make use of this, chat GPT or Gen AI, you can intelligently use those technologies to enhance your productivity. So instead of spending lots of time in building the logic and understanding and writing your own, you just make use of them and get the help or assistance from them, and then you can complete the task. Whatever the task you're supposed to complete in 8 hours, you can complete within 1 hour. Once you're able to complete, and whatever the remaining 7 hours, you can utilize it for the your own productivity. You can use it for some other tasks. So that's where these technologies will make you to help and enhance your productivity. And these technologies are not to replace or not to impact on any of your DBA role or any of the development roles. So it is just way you can make use of them and enhance your productivity. That's the only use case of these cloud technologies and AI or chat GPTs. All right. Then the other question, DevOps. So again, in over a period like last few years, DevOps was a booming on in market. Now no more DevOps after this cloud and chat GPT and AI agent, and nobody is talking about DevOps. So earlier days, a few years back, many people used to say that, oh, DevOps was the booming technologies, and we need to learn all of them. So DevOps is DevOps mandatory? Is it a need? Is this must, or is DBA need to learn this one? So again, it is not a must thing. So this DevOps is not a mandatory or must thing. DBA has to learn this one. So what are the advantages if you learn this? What are the advantages if you learn the DevOps skills? Like again, DevOps is not a one single course. Inside DevOps, you can see a lot of things: Cookbook, Jenkins and Terraforms, Dockers, containers, and Ansible, and Perl scripting, Python scripting, Shell scripting, and lot of things, lot of other topics also you're going to cover as part of this DevOps. So it is not a must thing for DBA to learn everything about DevOps. So you can learn certain things in the DevOps, like you can learn Python scripting, you can learn the Shell scripting, you can learn Ansible, you can learn Terraform, and you can learn Cookbooks, Jenkins. By learning them, you can use those technologies to make your day-to-day automation. Day-to-day automation meaning if you learn your Ansible, you can patch your thousands of database servers in one single click. Right? If you learn your Ansible, you can do your thousands of database upgradation in one click. And if you learn your
Is
shell
the
scripting,
Ansible or Terraform both we have to learn?
Terraform is separate thing. Terraform will nowhere come into picture. Terraform is managing your databases, managing your VMs in the cloud. not on the on-premises.
So Ansible are used in the on-premises.
Ansible, you can use it on-premises, cloud, or anywhere. As I mentioned, Ansible, few examples. You can do thousands of your Oracle database patching in one single
Okay.
click. Thousands of database upgradation, you can do it one single click using Ansible. Right. So other technologies in DevOps, you can learn Python or shell scripting. Once you learn your Python and shell scripting, you can do all your day-to-day monitoring activities. Every day, once I log in as a DBA, I'm going to spending 3 to 4 hours to manage my database, to check the health state of my database, instance, listener, storage, all those manually I'm checking and spending around 3 to 4 hours. You can write your shell script automation, you can write your Python script automation. Once you log into your shift, you just run one single script, and then within 5-10 minutes, you can do an entire database monitoring activity. Your database instance, listener, status, ASM, storage, all those checks you can complete within 5 to 10 minutes by just writing one shell script or Python script. Right, so that is your added advantages. It is not a must thing. DevOps as a DBA, I need to learn the entire DevOps. No, certain portion on the DevOps, learn it, and then after learn, you can make use of those technologies for your day-to-day activities and do some automation. All right, and then the cloud technologies. As mentioned, cloud technologies are impacting. And what is the which cloud technologies? So which technologies too good and which technologies I can learn? Which cloud technologies? Sorry. So first question is cloud impacting the DBA role? No. And then which cloud technology is good for DBAs? So again, it is all depending upon on which direction you are going in. Let's say I'm a DBA. I worked on Oracle DBA for last 5 to 6 years, or 5 to 10 years, or 15 years of experience in Oracle World, Oracle DBA. I want to continue in this Oracle world. I don't want to go out of this Oracle world. Then go for your OCI. Right? You are already spent like 5 years, 10 years of experience in Oracle world and learn a lot of Oracle products and Oracle technologies. And then better you can learn OCI cloud and then continue your career in that OCI cloud itself. Now I am just a few years of experience, like 5 years or 4 years or 6 years of experience, and I know the fundamentals of database, some concepts of RAC, but I want to explore some other outside flavors. I want to explore outside of Oracle. I want to go some other domains. Then go for AWS or Azure. So this is like you're learning new concept or new technologies and you are going out of this database. I'm fed up of this database support and all these things. I don't want to continue as a DBA. I don't want to continue into this Oracle field. Then look for the other technologies like AWS and Azure. You can go for the AWS professional, your Azure professional, where you will be supporting end to end on cloud technologies. And it's not just like you're no more wanted to continue your career in the database field. So in in those scenarios, in those choices, go for the other field like AWS and Azure, which is majority in the market, which are going good. Right, so that is your
Yeah,
the career what you
there
can
is
choose.
one certification like AWS database specialty. So is it recommended for DBS or we need to have other database knowledge also?
So like again, if you want to continue your career in Oracle field itself, go for your OCI. If you don't want to continue a career with Oracle, I want to explore more outside of Oracle, other products, you can go for AWS and Azure. And again, inside AWS and Azure, I want to completely go out of database field, then go for your AWS and Azure, the cloud administrator role. I still want to continue my career in the database field itself, but not the Oracle. Then go for learning the other databases in AWS, other databases in Azure. So in AWS itself, we have many databases, RDS, Redshift, and many of those You can target for that AWS database specialty certificate. Again, you are restricting your role in the DBA field itself, but other than Oracle databases. All right, so those are your
Malik,
cloud technologies. You can explore more on that.
good morning. I have a question here. So, can we have Oracle database on AWS or Azure,
Yes,
right?
right. You can
Because
have it.
OCI is not available everywhere. Like I am from Nepal, so OCI is not available here, right?
So in OCI, what happens? You can get standalone and you can get RAC. In Azure or AWS, you can get only Oracle standalone. There's no RAC concept. The recently Oracle has integrated with AWS and Azure. They given database as a service in AWS and Azure, but they don't have a RAC in AWS or Azure.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So those are few fundamental questions. What I used to get it many of the time. And then two more topics. I'll just cover it as everyone interest. One is um, like a gap in the career. So gap in your career or even after education. Wait, what I can say instead of that? Let's say I have completed my graduation, and after that, I I did not get a job for 3 4 years, or I have already working in like two scenarios after college or after your few years of experience. So after my college, I did not get a job for 3 4 years. After my a few years of experience, and I laid off, and I got laid off, and then I did not get a job for 3 4 years. So if you have a career gap and then you're looking for a job, then it's a very difficult. Like if you have a 3 years of gap currently, and I don't have a job for now last 3 years, and I completed my graduation 4 years back. Last 4 years, I did not get any job. So if you have a gap in your career, so many people will ask, uh, can I use a fake experience? So most of these questions from my student from all over this last 5 6 years, many students used to ask, can I use a fake experience to fulfill that one? Right. Again, the two things to understand here: if you have a gap after your college graduation, if you have a gap after a few years of experience, and I got laid off, and then I don't have any job. So once you are having this career gap, so it's very difficult to get back into IT, because most of the companies will think if you're having a gap 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, then you are restricted yourself and you are not up to date in the market and your knowledge are outdated. So they will most of the companies will not willing to hire you guys. So what is my suggestion? If you have this kind of a gap, always get some reference. So get some reference to get into any IT. Like, my brother is working on this so and so company. My uncle is working in this company. My relatives are working in this company. Try to approach them and then try to get some recommendations and then try to join those companies. Once you join and once you are currently working, you can switch the career, you can switch the new company without any issue. Even though you have a past gap in your education or after education or gap in your career, in your professional experience, you have a gap. Doesn't matter. Currently you're working, you can easily switch the new job, irrespective of whether you have gap in the past or not, doesn't matter. But if you are currently not having a job, you're having some gap, then it's very difficult to get a job. So for that, you need to get some reference who's already working, your relatives or your brother or your uncle, get a reference from there, and then get into that company. Later, after a few years, you can switch your job. So if you get a fake experience, what happens? You can easily get caught. Like, nowadays companies are doing, lot of background verification, background check. So many people will ask me, like, I'm getting some genuine work experience, and which is very, very genuine, and which has all the legal checks are done. So I'm going to get them. So unnecessarily you're paying lakhs together money and getting the certificate, and you can easily get caught in the background verification. You can able to crack interview and then get offer letter. Once the offer letter you launch, then they will do a thorough background verification check. There you will be get caught that your experience is not genuine and fake, and then you are immediately terminating from that position. So which is very, very risky. Like, you are spending lakhs together to get that certificate, get that experience letter. But and then, as I mentioned, companies are not that fool. They can easily figure it out whether it's a genuine or fake, and because they'll always hire a third party vendor to do a background verification check. So my personal suggestion is always not get into that trap. Like, don't go for the fake experience letters and all. Always get some reference and get into the IT. Once you get into IT, you can easily switch the new job. All right. So hope that is a good discussion, I believe, because those are the generally asked questions in my friend circle or my students and all. Those are the topics they wanted to always discuss. Right. I'll take a pause for a minute here before I get into some of the technical discussion around this rack and the standalone and some other concepts. So any questions so far? No questions? All good? All right. If all good, then I'll just go with the very first discussion, standalone versus rack. Why rack? What are the advantages of rack? So again, I might have discussed this many times, but this is going to be one of your common interview questions. Why rack? Rack, what are the advantages of rack on top of the standalone? The few advantages about the rack over the standalone, your HA, high availability, is one main feature in rack, which is not available in standalone. And load balancing, your high availability and your load balancing, and then your failover. So those are the three fundamental advantages, or the why rack is more powerful than the standalone. High availability meaning if one of the server goes down, you have other server to support that end user connection. The load balancing is the whatever the end users are connecting, they will be distributed across all the rack nodes equally. Failover meaning if any users are connected to node 1, if that node 1 goes down, automatically that user sessions will be failed over to your other node. A quick example here in this slide. Let's say first thing is HA, high availability. So this all the users are trying to connect, and if this particular single instance standalone, if the instance goes down, server goes down, there's no HA concept here, high availability. Only one server, one instance. If that goes down, there's no other server or other instance to support that end user connection. But in case of rack, the end users can connecting to node 1. If the node 1 is not there, the end users can still connect to your other node. You have high availability, other servers, other instances where the end user can be served.
So without pointing that
Without pointing that,
second node IP, they will just connect it.
yeah, that's a scan. So all the end users will be
Okay.
using the scan. Scan is a single name, They no need to remember or no need to give that IP or the host names. They'll just give the scan. The scan will route connection to any one of this node.
Okay, then end user don't know anything like IP and anything. They just need to do this one only, right?
Right, only scan.
Okay. So automatically it will be the switch over from I to and other database
That's a
server, right?
failover, different story. We'll talk about that. This is now what
Okay.
I'm talking about, high availability. If the node 1 is not there, any new user
Mm-hmm.
trying to connect, he can connect to either 2 or 3. Meaning at any given time, you have other servers to support that end user connection. That's a high availability. So now other one is load balancing. High availability meaning at any given time, you have one or other server to take that incoming connection. The load balancing. Load balancing meaning, let's say 1,000 users want to connect here. All those 1,000 users will connect here, this single server. Your server is overloaded. Your server will get crash. The same 1,000 users here, they'll connect using a scan. Scan is smart enough. Scan will route 300 connection over here, 300 connection over here, and 300 connection here. Around like maybe 50 here, 50 here. So scan will intelligently route those end user connection across all the cluster nodes. That's your load balancing. Again, that's part of our actual class. We'll understand more on that. How scan is able to do a load balancing. How my scan knows which node I need to route that connection. So that's the internal to scan. We'll discuss more in our regular classes. But that's the advantages of a scan. The load balancing is the feature which will be established by with the help of scan. And the next one is failover. The failover meaning, let's say the client one is connected here. If the server goes down, this end user session will fail because it's only one server, one instance. If that instance goes down, server goes down, and the client will connection will be broken. Here the client is connected here, the server one, instance one. If this instance one failover or the server failover, this client connection automatically goes to the second node or automatically goes to third node. That's called your failover. And then client connection will not be broken. Client can continue to do his task. So how can I'm able to do this failover? We have separate VIPs and scan. Again, we'll discuss in our regular classes how my scan or VIPs are able to do a failover in case of RAC. Right, that is the main advantages standalone versus RAC, and this is going to be one of your common entry questions. Why customer want to go for RAC? So any enterprise business, the RAC is must because of all these features, load balancing, high availability, and failover. Right. And then the other questions what I wanted to talk is types of databases. Again, the standalone has the different types of databases and RAC has the different types of databases. So standalone will be having a standalone without ASM and standalone with ASM. You can run a single database without ASM. It will be under OS file system. And your database will be running under ASM file system. So again, this is part of our DBA course. On our DBA course, we'll be covering these two types of databases throughout the course. And in case of RAC, we have again two types of database here. RAC database and then RAC one node database. A quick demo on this one, the standalone versus RAC. But if I go here, a PS-F grep SMON on this Oracle Lab 1, where we have this a DevDB. That is your standalone without ASM. So we have this other lab here where we have this test DB running under this ASM. So that is your other type of databases. The moment you do this ps-f grep smon and you see this plus ASM and see the database instance ID. So this test DB is running under this ASM. And in this lab one here, the moment you do ps-f grep smon, you see only the database name that indicates this database is running under local OS file system, not on ASM. So quickly, you can take a look on those respective files. Select name from middle data file. So all these data files, system, sysocs, undo, user, all are located under this OS file system here. So if I exit from here and go into CD into that OS file system and do ls-l, I can see all those files. Those are database, DB database files are located locally on OS file system. Whereas this lab2 here, test DB, so if I run the same command, whatever I ran here, select name from middle data file, so you can see it start with a plus. Anything start with a plus, it's your ASM storage. Here you can see it's a plus ASM, and here you can see it's a plus data. That's your ASM storage. So all your systems is socks, undo, users, that you can see here, ASM file system. Your test DB standalone with ASM, that is ASM file system. Your database is on ASM. So if I exit from here and if I try to CD into that, it's not going to work because it's not a OS file system. Here it's CD into that file system, it works because that's a OS file system. OS knows about that. And this is a plus data. It's not a OS file system. It's a ASM file system. You cannot directly CD into that ASM file system. To go into ASM file system, you need to connect to ASM command line. For that, you need to set that ASM instance plus ASM. You have to set the environment to ASM, run ASM cmd -p. Now you are into ASM command line. Now you can CD into that location. So do ls-l and you can see all those data files, which is inside ASM storage. ASM stands for automatic storage management. And that automatic storage management is provided by Oracle itself. Oracle has a separate software for ASM. You have to install that, set up your ASM, and set up your ASM storage, and then you can create your test database, and the test database will be residing under that ASM storage. But these are the two types of databases, and Oracle is highly recommend run your database on ASM because of ASM will provide a lot of features or benefits like high speed read and write and Oracle restart capability and many more. The redundancies, mirroring, striping. So Oracle ASM will provide lot many features, and because of that, Oracle is highly recommended to run your database on your ASM storage. All right. So again, that is nothing will be covered in this RAC course. This is a part of our DBA course, what we'll be covering. And in case of this RAC, we'll be covering this. Okay, in the RAC course, we'll be covering RAC database and RAC one node database. So for that, we have here Oracle Lab 1, where we have this plus ASM1. In case of Lab 2 here, we have this plus ASM2. It's a two node rack, and we have here DB instance 1, and we have this DB instance 2. It's kind of a setup like this. Lab 1, Lab 2, you have your ASM instance 1, and you have your ASM instance 2, and you have your Dev database instance 1, and you have your DB instance 2. So now what happens here? This is called RAC database. So what I shown this diagram here, your RAC database running instance 1 and instance 2. A user can connect to instance 1 or instance 2. Let's go back here. Right, so this is your RAC database, what I just mentioned. So RAC versus RAC node. So RAC database will be having DevDB instance 1 and DevDB instance 2. For RAC 1 node, we'll be having DevDB underscore instance 1 and or. So it's a OR condition here, meaning we'll be having your DevDB instance underscore 1 or DevDB instance underscore 2. So for the RAC 1 node, we'll always use this underscore parameter. For the RAC database, we'll use 1 and 2. So it's OR condition. OR condition meaning either your DevDB underscore instance 1 will be up and running and your instance 2 will not be running. In case of your lab 1 goes down or your DevDB underscore instance goes down, automatically your DevDB underscore 2 instance will get started. That's the meaning of one node, meaning your RAC database will be running only on one node at any given time. If that node is down or the database instance goes down on that node, automatically your second instance will get started. This is our condition here. In case of RAC, it's an AND condition. Your DevDB1 instance will be running and also DevDB instance 2 will be running. Until unless if you bring down manually, both will be up and running at any given time. So again, why RAC 1 node? There are so its own advantages. Licensing is one cost, and I don't want to run my second instance on second node. I want to run only on node 1. So only the reporting database, I want to run it on only node 1. I don't want to run it on second node. So many other advantages. You can go with that RAC database or RAC 1 node database. Right, so in this course here, we'll be covering these databases, RAC or RAC 1 node. And then in case of RAC, so do things. In case of RAC, again, RAC means the moment I say RAC, it's either RAC database or RAC 1 node database. In case of RAC, you can run DBs on ASM file system. You can run DBs on OS file system. That basically your NFS shared file system. Both are supported. As we seen here, right? Lab 1, your database is locally OS file system, DevDB. In case of Lab 2 here, the test DB, which are located under ASM storage. Similarly, whether your database is a RAC database or RAC 1 node database, you can run your database on ASM file system. You can run your database on OS file system, that's NFS. You have to ask your Linux admin to mount NFS file system and you can run over there. But again, this NFS is not recommended. In the field or in the market, if you go to any client, so always you can see RAC on ASM. And this is recommended, and you can see 99% customers or the outside market, they will be running under ASM. Only few of them you can see which are running under NFS storage. Both are there. There's no surprise in that. If you see any RAC database running under NFS, that's also supported configuration. All right. That's the first point, standalone versus RAC, and the second point is about types of databases and what is covered in this course, what is covered on the database course. Hope that's clear. Right. And the third one is, again, few more concepts, what I listed out. Wanted to talk with the RAC architecture, but I'm going to pause it for here for today. Tomorrow we can continue with this RAC architecture and the RAC networking. Right. So these two topics and then few more topics we have it. The file system and right, the RAC file system. So I need to go over that all the archive log, FRA, and the redo logs, control file, data files, where they are located, the RAC file system. along with the FRA and then the data and record scope. Also, I talk about the GI, ASM, and RAC, and what are the file system, how it works. So these are the few more topics I wanted to cover. But today I'll take a pause here. I'll wrap it up for now. We'll continue tomorrow on these further topics. Right. So before we wrap it up for today, any more final questions or anything you'd like to ask or clarify?
Can I maybe ask some question outside RAC, like, the FRA? Can you tell me a little bit about
Tomorrow
recovery
we'll talk
using
about
FRA?
that.
Okay,
Tomorrow
okay,
we'll
fine.
talk about that. Once we talk about the RAC file system, which covers about your data disk group, record disk group, FRA disk group, where are your archive log, read log control files, we'll cover
Okay,
that.
so here you said that is it possible to have RAC with just OS file systems without ASM?
Right. That's NFS.
Oh, okay.
Yep. All right. Hope no questions. Again, feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number or call me on my cell or message me. I'll if you have any further questions you want to clarify or talk to me, you can always feel free to reach out to me here. We'll take those questions. All right. With that, let's wrap it up for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow again, few more interesting topic on the architecture, networking, the file system, and clusterware. We'll see how it goes. All right. Yeah. With that, let's take a break. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Malik.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
All right.